Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how I created this beautiful string dress with a stylish neckline. So if this is what you're interested in, please watch the video to the end. And also, if it's your first time on my channel, do well to subscribe so you get notified whenever I drop a new video. So without wasting much of our time, let's get started. So the fabric I have here folded already is crepe. So from the folded center part, come down by 2 inches to create a starting line. Afterwards, create your bust point, your hip line, and the full length. So also need 16 inches extra to create that gathers effect. Now it is time to take my shoulder measurement. So from the starting point, divide your shoulder into two, and I have 8 inches after dividing 16 inches. So I'll go ahead now to add extra 10 inches because we have a cut together sleeve on one part of our dress. So from that extra 10 inches I have added, I'm coming down by 1 inch to create my shoulder slope. So use your ruler to connect it all the way down to the 1 inch you came down by for your shoulder slope. So from that shoulder slope again, we are coming down by 10 inches. We'll be using that to create our sleeve, our round sleeve. So come down by 10 inches and connect it and create a mark there. So from the bust point now, we'll go ahead and take our bust measurement. So for me, my client's bust measurement was 42 inches. I went ahead to divide it into 4, and after that I'm going ahead to add 1.5 inches from that area that I have marked. Add 1.5 inches for stitching allowance, and I'm also going ahead to add 1 inch for ease for this dress. So this dress it's not really fitted, so we'll be needing 1 inch for ease so that your client can feel comfortable on the dress. So afterwards, go ahead and connect it all the way to the sleeve. Connect your measurements all the way to the sleeve. Now coming down to the hip area, we're going to mark the hip line so that it can be visible. So take your hip measurement on the hip line. For me, my client's measurement was 46 on the hip line. I went ahead to add 1.5 inch for stitching allowance again, and I also went ahead to add the 1 inch for ease, like I did on the bust line. So for the full length of our dress, just go ahead to mark what you have on the hip line and take away 1 inch. Just take away 1 inch for what you had on the hip line. Go ahead to add 1.5 inch for stitching allowance and also add 1 inch for ease on the full length of our dress on the hemline. So what I want to do now, I told you we needed extra 16 to 15 inches for the full length of this dress. We'll go ahead and connect it all the way down. So instead of 40 inches as the full length of my dress, what I have here is 56 inches here about. So yeah, I'll go ahead and cut it all out. So I've gone ahead to cut out my dress. So the next thing I want to do is to create the neckline of this dress and the sleeve as well. So yeah, the picture right here was my inspiration. So we'll just go ahead now and just come up by 2 inches from the bust line of our dress. So yeah, just do exactly what you see me do. Come up by 2 inches on the bust line and create a new line entirely. So this new line we are creating right here is now our chest line. So just do exactly what you see me do. So after creating this line, the next thing we want to do now is to get our armhole curve. So from that shoulder line, come down, place your tip on the new line and get the midpoint of these two lines. So get the midpoint. After you mark it, just come in by ½ inch and just connect it all the way down to the new line. So just use your curve rule to just get your armhole curve and connect it all the way to the new line, which is now the chest line. So after doing that, one thing I like to do is to add ½ inch as stitching allowance on this armhole area because we'll be using our bias to turn it. So just go ahead now to add half-inch stitching allowance on this armhole that we have created. So what we are doing right now is we are trying to get the sleeveless part of our dress. So because if you look at this dress that I just showed you right now, yeah, it's on the screen. So if you look at this dress, you will realize that one part of the dress is sleeveless while the other part is cut together sleeve. So now we are going to create that same line, that line that you have created for the sleeveless part of your dress. Create that same mark on the back of the dress, raise the front part and extend it by 3 inches. So the difference between the back and the front is that you're coming out by 3 inches extra and you're marking or creating a notch at that part of the sleeve. I hope you can see what I am doing. Even if you cannot understand it, just see what I just did. So we are going to cut out the front part. Please, we are cutting out only one of the sleeve. So the part that is at the top is what you are cutting out, or the part you have worked on is what you are cutting out. So we are going to cut out the front part of the sleeve. That area is going to be sleeveless, while the other part that you've notched is going to remain like that. So this is how it looks after I have cut out one side of the sleeve. Okay, so now that we have cut out the front part of our dress, we'll be using the front to cut out the back of our dress. So what I did was to place the front on another fabric. I just went ahead to like cut exactly what I have on the front part of our dress. So see the way I'm cutting it. I placed it open. This time around I did not fold it. I just placed it open and I went ahead to cut it all through exactly the way it is on the front. So I have cut out my dress both back and front. I also went ahead to cut out the bias strip using my fabric. I'll be using this to stitch on the sleeve and the sleeveless part of our dress. So yes, this is how it is. I've used my bias to turn on the sleeve and the sleeveless part. So when I turn on my dress, you're going to see how it is. Remember, this area that is curved is the sleeveless part of our dress. So when I turn it over like this, you see this part that is curved here like this is the sleeveless part. So the next thing I want to do is to create my shoulder leading to the sleeveless part of the dress. So from that sleeveless part, you can just come in by 5 inches, 4 inches, depending on how you want it. For me, I used 5 inches for my client's dress. So come in by 5 inches. I'm using my pins to hold down that area. So from that curved sleeveless part, just come in by 5 inches. I used my pins to hold it down temporarily. So I'll go ahead to just stitch on the other area using my bias strip again. So for the other part of the dress, remember that notch you created is where you're going to start pinning down from. You pin it down all the way to the end. You're going to start pinning from the notched area. That is the area of the dress that has the off shoulder sleeve. So just the way you see me do exactly, I just want to make sure that the dress is aligned together so that one side is no longer than the other. Remember, you're pinning it down from the area that you notched. So I'm gonna ahead to hold it down with my pins. You can also just make loose stitches on it and lose it later, but because of the kind of fabric I'm working with, I decided to use my pins instead. So I'll go ahead to use my bias strip to stitch down on the areas that I did not pin. So this is how it looks after I was done with that. I noticed my machine oil stained my dress. So yeah, so now I'm going to unpin every area that was pinned down. So when you unpin it, you realize that that place looks as it was, so it looks as it was. So right now we can now go ahead to join those areas, like using normal stitch. So if you made loose stitches on it, you are going to remove those stitch and right now just join it properly using your sewing machine. So I've gone ahead to join the areas that I pinned earlier. So this is how it looks. Even the area that is close to that sleeveless part of the dress, I've gone ahead to join it. I just hope what I'm explaining makes sense, that you understand. So the next thing I want to do is to get my half length measurement of my client. So is if you know it as upper waist is fine, half length is fine, but just get the shoulder to waist measurement of your client or of yourself if you're making it for yourself, and just mark it down. So the next thing after that, I'm going to use 1.5 inches stitching allowance that I added and stitch the dress all the way from the top to the bottom. So 1.5 inches was the allowance I added, and I'm going to stitch it down all the way. So I've gone ahead to do that. So there is something I should have done earlier before now, but I forgot to do it. So from the sides of the dress, we are going to come up by 1 inch from both sides of the dress. So if you notice my dress, I loosened it after I'd already, stitched the hemline of it, but it's fine, we can still do that, nothing spoiled. So from the sides of the dress, just come up by 1 inch and connect it all the way down to the center of the dress. Just do exactly the way you've seen me do. So connect it all the way to the center of the dress from the 1 inch you have come up by from both sides of the dress. So just connect it. This is going to give it a very fine curve, like the dress is going to be curved at the hemline by the time you're done making it. You can come up by 1.5, but 1 inch was okay for me. So I've gone ahead to finish up the hemline of our dress. So at this point, this dress really needs ironing, and I'm going to do so after now. So yeah, I've gone ahead to finish up the hemline. So the next thing now we want to do is to create the areas we are going to be attaching our string. So remember, the full line of our dress, as I earlier mentioned, was 40 inches, but this dress is way longer than that. But don't worry, by the time we attach our strings, we are going to have a shorter dress. So what I'm going to do now is to cut on the line we created, the half length area, or the upper waist as you know it, or whichever one. So we are going to make a cut on that area. That will enable us to create the hole we are going to be attaching our string or our rope. So you see what I'm doing, I'll just go ahead to cut it, but make sure you do not cut it to the areas you stitched. Okay, so I've gone ahead to create my channels for the rope. So this is how it looks. I'm yet to iron it though, but right now I'm going ahead to just use my safety pin to attach my ropes to this dress before I will go ahead to iron it. So right now it's time to put our ropes into the channel that we have created. So once you pass it through to the other end, you're going to use your pins to hold it down. So once you're done with all parts of the channels, you just go over to your sewing machine and stitch it down from the left side of the dress So yeah, this is how it looks after I was done. I've also gone ahead to give it a proper ironing. So yeah, the dress is now looking so beautiful. So when you turn it over to the left side, you have it looking like this. It's neat. So yeah, so if you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and also follow my channel if you're yet to do so, and I will see you in my next video.